Hey guys, and welcome back. In this video we are going to see how to install Android Studio on Ubuntu. Now the prerequisites for this video is Java JDK. If you have installed Java already, then you can continue watching this video. If you have not installed Java JDK till now, then the link is in the description. You can open my another video and see and learn how to install Java on Ubuntu. Then you can come back or return back to this video where we will be installing Android Studio. So in this video we will see how to install Android Studio from the official repository. Also we will see how to install Android Studio using the snap tool, and then we will start the Android Studio and create our first project, and I'll give a very brief idea on how to use Android Studio. So without any further ado, let's just open terminal and let's check if Java is installed on my computer or not. And you can see Java version 19.0.1, which is the latest version at the time of making this video, is already installed on my computer. So I can just start with the installation of Android Studio. First way to install Android Studio is from the official repository, and it's always a good idea to install software from the official repositories whenever possible so that you can receive the updates automatically when they become available. And to add the Android Studio repository, we have to run the apt-repository command. So let me just write the command first. Sudo add-apt-repository space ppa colon 10-fonville / Android Studio. The message that we have received is repository deb https launch content maarten-fonville jam main description automatically generated builds of the latest Android Studio. Alright, so we can just hit enter here. This is going to add the repository, so we just have to wait. Now after adding the repository, we have to update the local package index to include the contents of the new repository. So here we can just write apt update. Why we need to give it sudo. Now we can run apt cache command to verify that the Android Studio repository has been added. So I'll just write sudo apt-cache policy. You can see we have this maarten-fonville Android Studio by Google for Ubuntu. Let me just maximize. Alright, so which means Android Studio repository has been added successfully. Now finally, to install it, we can just write sudo space apt space install space Android -studio, and that's all. You can just hit enter and the Android Studio is going to be installed using PPA. This was the first method. Now the second method is using snap tool. If you are not a fan of adding a PPA to your resource list, you can install Android Studio using the snap package instead. Android Studio's snap package indeed contains an application and all its dependencies, but you have to remember that your Android Studio version might slightly be outdated, as the snap package is usually a few releases behind the PPA. So you have to choose accordingly. If you want the latest package, then you have to go with the PPA. If you are fine with installing Android Studio, which might be a few releases behind the PPA, then you can go with the snap package. So the choice is yours. If you want the latest available version, then you can go ahead with this command. Just hit enter and complete the installation, or else we can use the snap tool. So I'm going to show how to use snap tool now. Just clear this out. Alright, now we have to run the apt install command to install Snap on our computer. If you don't have Snap installed on your computer, then you can also do the same. Just type sudo space apt space install space snap d space -y, and it says snapd is already the newest version because the snap tool comes out of the box with Ubuntu. So in most of the cases we don't have to install it. Now the second command we need to run is snap refresh. This command is going to update the list of available snap packages. You can just enter and authenticate. Alright, then the next command is to install Android Studio. So just write sudo space snap space install space Android hyphen studio and just hit enter. Now if you get error like this, the revision of Snap Android Studio was published using classic confinement and thus may perform arbitrary system changes outside of the security sandbox that snaps are usually confined to. Now this error suggests that Android Studio can make changes to the system that could put your system at risk. This issue is very common with snaps that are not confined to the security sandbox. So all we can do to fix this is just add --classic with the same command. So I'll use the same command, that is sudo snap install Android Studio, then space --classic and hit enter. Now this time you won't get any error and the download and the installation of Android Studio will begin. So now we just have to wait patiently till the installation is over. And depending on the speed of your internet, it might take some time. So alright, we have got one error. Cannot perform the following task. Download Snap Android Studio from channels table. Download too slow. So I think there is some problem with my network. So I'll just restart the installation. Let's see if it completes this time. I hope it does because I don't have the entire night to record the video. I have to sleep also. Alright, then finally we will receive message like this: Android Studio 2021.3.1.17 from Snapcrafters installed, which means Android Studio is installed now. So we can just click on this show applications button on the bottom left corner, and then here we can just search for Android Studio. It's here, so I'll just open it up. So we can close this terminal. So now that we have installed Android Studio on the computer, it's time to launch Android Studio and set it up for the first time. Setting up Android Studio is similar to setting up other software on Ubuntu. After we have started up the Android Studio, this is the first dialog box which asks whether we want to import Android Studio settings. Now if you already have some of the Android Studio settings, which means if you were using Android Studio before, then you can use config or installation directory. And if you are a new user or you just want to start from the scratch, then just click here, do not import settings, and then click on OK. Now it's asking whether you want to help improve Android Studio. Now if you are fine with your computer sending the data about your computer whenever there is a crash or just for the improvement of the Android Studio, then you can click on send usage statistics to Google. If you do not want your data to be sent to Google, then you can just click on don't send. You can click on don't send. And either way, if later you wish to change this setting, if you change your mind later and you want to change the setting, you can turn the data sharing feature off or on by going to settings, then appearance and behavior, then system settings, and then finally data sharing. So for now I'll just click on don't send. Welcome, this wizard will set up your development environment for Android Studio. Additionally, the wizard will help export existing Android apps into Android Studio or create a new Android application project. It's okay, just click on next. Now choose the type of setup you want for Android Studio. Standard Android Studio will be installed with the most common settings and options. That is the most recommended option for most users. So I'll just click on next. Now on this window, you can choose which of the UI you want for your Android Studio. The light one, as the name suggests, is a light theme, and the Darkula is a dark theme. I'll prefer the dark one, and it's upon your choice which of the theme you want to select. Then just select it and then click on next. Now if you want to change any of these settings, you can have a look here. You can look and verify the settings, and if you are fine with them, just click on next. And also if you are not sure about these settings, just click on next. And on this page we have to accept the terms and conditions, so just click on accept from here and then click on next. And we have detected that your system can run the Android emulator in an accelerated performance mode. Linux-based systems support virtual machine acceleration through the KVM, that is kernel-based virtual machine software package. Follow configure hardware acceleration for the Android emulator to enable KVM and achieve better performance. So for now, I'll just let it be like that and I'll click on finish. So as you can observe, some of the files of Android Studio are downloading now. If you want to see more details about them, you can just click on show details. And you can see what exactly is happening on your computer. Then finally, we can just click on finish. Now after setting up Android Studio, you will see a welcome screen with a few options to get you started, as you can see on the screen. Now these options are self-explanatory. If you click on projects, then we can create a new project or open an existing project. In the same way, if we click on customize, then we can customize the color theme. We have a light theme as well as Darkula, and here we have high contrast also. Then accessibility, you have the option to change the font size. Here it's 15, we can make it 16 or even bigger than that. Then we have plugins, and there are a lot of plugins which are available for Android Studio that you can use, but we'll just talk about these later. And if you want to learn more about Android Studio, these are the links which you can go about and read more about the Android Studio. But anyways, we can just click on projects for now, and let's create a new project. Now on this second window, we have the option to select the target device where our app is going to run. The first one is phone and tablet, which means if we choose this one, then the app can run on phone or a tablet. If you are creating the app for a wearable device like a watch, then it's for Wear OS. If you are creating for Android TV, then you have to select this one. Or if you are creating for Android Play, that is the alternative of Apple Car that we have in our modern day vehicles. Let's make it for phone and tablet. And from here we have different kinds of template for different kind of activity that you want to create. And I'll just give a brief idea what a activity is. In terms of Android app development, an activity is actually one page of an app. Like when you open up any app on your phone, the first screen that appears is also an activity. Then you will click on some of the menu or choose something, then another page or another window will open up, that's another activity. So for us, we can just click on empty activity from here. It's here, empty activity, because whatever we want to do, we can do in this activity. Now we have to configure our project. So the first one is name. You can give your application a descriptive name, but for this tutorial, I'll just let it be on my application. It's a very simple name for me. Then package name, you can change the package name also if you want. And since it's the first application that and if you're just a new learner, you're just a beginner, then you can just let it be the same. And also if you change the name of your activity, then the package name is also going to change. Like, I'll just show what I mean by that. Let's say I'll just make it my app, and you can see the package name has changed as well. Then this is the save location where your application is going to be saved. If you do not have a good reason to change it, I'll suggest to let it be on the default location. Then we have the language. Kotlin is selected by default. Now it's up to you whether you want to use Java or Kotlin. I'll just select Java from here. Here we have to choose the minimum API level your app will support. The lower the API level, the more devices your app can run on. But that also means if you are choosing a very low API, that means you will be not able to use the newer features or the support that is available with the latest APIs. So it totally depends upon you which API level you want to be the minimum. And you can observe API 21 means your app will run on approximately 98.8% of the devices. So this also, I'll just let it be on the default one, that is Android 5.0, that is Lollipop version, and just click on finish. And you can see the Android Studio has installed this package, that is Android SDK platform 32. And now we can just click on finish. Now Android Studio is going to take some time to sync the project sources, and at the bottom you can see what is actually happening with your Android Studio right now, what process it is executing right now. So it shows indexing JDK, Android Studio default JDK. Let me just maximize this Android Studio, and now you can observe it shows download Gradle. Since we are opening the Android Studio project for the first time, so it might take some time, and the next execution of the projects might not take this much of time, but since it is for the first time, so it's going to take some time. And in the meanwhile, if you want, you can just see what's new in Dolphin. Dolphin is the version of Android Studio that is installed on the computer. Now, depending on the version that is installed on your computer, it might differ, but you can just give it a read in what's new in this version of Android Studio, and then you can just minimize it from here. You can hide it. Now we have to wait for this Gradle sync to get over. After the sync is over, we can see all the files that have been generated on the left side, and you can observe it's written here also, Gradle project sync in progress. And if we talk about the files, then these are the two main files right now. First one is main activity.java, and then activity underscore main.xml. So this is a Java file, and the second one is a XML file. Both of these combined together forms one activity of the application. The name of the activity is main activity, and these two files combined together represent one activity. And to easily zoom into Android Studio window, we can change one setting. So for that, we have to just go to File, that is this one, and then click on Settings, which is this one. And then on this window, we can just click on this editor on the left panel. Under editor, we just have to click on this arrow and then click on this general. Then coming on the right side, just scroll to the top, and here you can see this one, change font size with control plus mouse wheel in. We can just tick mark this one. You can either choose it for the active editor or for all the editors. I'll keep it on all editors because I don't want to change the font individually for different editors. So I'll just click on change font size and then I'll click on all editors. So it's there. Then after that, just click on OK. And now if I hold my control key and use my mouse wheel, then it should increase the font size. It's looking much better now. So the sync has finished finally. So this is the XML file, that is activity underscore main. And if you look here, we have three tabs. First one is the design tab, which means whatever design we do will be shown or displayed here, which means if you want to create something, like you want to create a button, you can just click and drag the button from there and you can do the editing directly from here. That is one way. Just undo it. And then we have code. If you click on the code tab, then all the codes which are in this file will be displayed. Then the third one is split, which means we have the codes also, and then we can have a look at the design also, so that we can design side by side with the codes. After that, if you focus here in the project, under the project, we have three main folders. First one is the manifest, second is the Java, third is the res, that is for resources. Now the manifest folder contains the Android manifest.xml file. The Java folder contains the source code of Java files, including the JUnit test codes. And then finally we have this resource file. It contains all the non-code resources such as strings, XML layouts, and bitmap images. So which means this main activity main.xml, this will be under this resource folder. This main activity.java will be under the Java folder, and it's here. Let's open the manifest folder and we have the Android manifest.xml. Now this Android manifest.xml file contains information of your package, including components of the application such as activities, services, broadcast, receivers, content providers. So since our app is pretty empty as of now, but still we have one activity present in the app, and the detail of that activity can be found here. In the same way, as you go on creating more activities, this activity tag will be added automatically here to the Android manifest file. And this activity is getting the intent main launcher. So which means this activity is getting the intent as the launcher activity or the main activity of the application, which means the application is going to begin with displaying this activity, that is the main activity. It's written right here. So that is how we read and understand the Android manifest file. And in the same way, you can look at the different properties which are present here. If you want to change the icon of the application, it's from here. This is the IC underscore launcher, name of the icon, which is as of now the icon of the application. The label of the app is my app, and the theme that is selected as the by default theme is this one, theme.myapp. If you want to get into more detail of this theme, you can click here on the resource folder. Here, just click on values and you can see the themes folder here. If you click here, you will have the theme that is being applied to our app by default. You can click on it and you can see the color primary, which means this is the primary color, the secondary color, the primary variant. These are pretty simple to understand. There's nothing much to explain. As you go on creating your application, you'll understand the meaning of these tags much better. So I'll just leave it for now. So that was the manifest file, and it also performs some other tasks, like it is responsible to protect the application to access any protected parts by providing the permissions. So all the permissions that you are going to ask from the user of your application has to be defined here in the Android manifest file. Then it also declares the Android API that the application is going to use. You can see it's written here, target API as a 31. Let me just close this. And if you are just wondering how Android knows that these two files are together? And how does Android know that when this Java file is executed, it should have the view of this XML file? So for that, we have to get into this class. So this is the main activity class that we have for the main activity. Then under that, we have a method that is onCreate method. Now this onCreate method is called when the activity class is first created. Then inside the onCreate method, we have this setContentView. The setContentView gives information about our layout resource. And here you can see our layout resource is defined as activity_main.xml, which means this layout.activity_main is our layout resource. So I'll just show what it means. If we come under this resource, we have this folder layout. Under layout, we have this activity_main, which is this XML file. So it means whenever this class is executed, it has the layout resource which is described or defined in this XML file. And if we come to the bottom, we have this version control, then we have to do, and then we have the problems. So if you have problems in your activity, those will be shown here, but since our activity is empty, there is no problem as of now. Then we have terminal also, so which means you have the terminal inside your Android Studio projects /my app. That is the app that we have created. We have a terminal under that. Then we have logcat, we have app inspection, and then we have build. So it displays the information regarding the last build. The last build took 12 minutes to finish, and these were the processes that happened during the first build. And then finally, let's just run this app and see how it looks in an emulator. So to run the app, we have this play button. We can click on this play button and this app is going to run. And on which emulator it is going to run, that is up to us to decide. So if you click on this arrow, you can see right now the current active emulator is Pixel 3a, which is running on API 33. And since I have used target API as 31, and the emulator that is added here by default is on a newer API, so I don't think our app is going to run on this emulator. So let's change this emulator. You can just click on this arrow and then click on device manager. This is the device manager that we need to use to create another device. So I'll just click here on create device. Now on this second window, you can choose any of the available device that is present in the list. So let's say I'll just select Pixel 6, then click on next. Then we can download Oreo or Pi or Q, any of the release which is below or up till 30, API level 30. Or we can just click on R also, we can download this release. So it's going to download the release and it's going to take 620 MB of space. But anyways, it's fine to do like this also. Now you have the option either to include or create more virtual devices, or the second one is you can use your own Android phone, which means you can run the live applications that you are building on the Android Studio on your Android mobile phone. To do that, first of all, you have to take your phone, then you will have to enable USB debugging, and to do that you will have to open your developer options. So let me open the settings, then just scroll down. Now depending upon the manufacturer of your mobile, the settings might differ, so you will have to look into the exact setting for your device. In the case of Samsung, you can just open settings and then scroll down to about phone. Here we have to tap on software information. Now after software information, we have to tap 7 times on this build number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and here it has opened up. Now I have to enter my pin, and the developer mode has been enabled. So depending upon the manufacturer of your phone, you will have to look it up how to enable the developer mode. Now once the developer mode is activated, you can return back to the main settings, and just below about phone you'll have this option, developer options. Now from here we have to enable the USB debugging. So scrolling down under debugging, we have this USB debugging. Just enable it. After that we can just return back to the main screen, and then we have to connect our device with the computer. Then after connecting it with the computer, we have to select allow USB debugging. So I can just click on always allow from this computer because this is my computer, so I can just allow it. Then allow access to phone data, I'll just allow it. After that we can just directly click here in the menu bar on this run menu, and then just click here run app. This is the first way. The second way is the usual way, the way we were doing it from before. And now you can see that the name of my Android phone has shown up here. Earlier it was only Pixel 3a. Now the Samsung phone has been added here, so I can just choose this Samsung and then I can just run the app. And you can observe that now the application is being installed on my Android phone, and in my phone I can clearly see the app running and it is displaying hello world because we have not written anything in the app. It's an empty app, that's why it's just showing hello world, and the title shows my app, which is the name of the app. So this is enough to get you started with the Android Studio. Now from here on you can get deep into your application and design it further. I hope you were able to learn how to install Android Studio on Ubuntu operating system, then create a simple Android app and run it on the emulator or on the physical phone that you have. So anyways, if this video was helpful to you, don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to see you in the next video. Till then, take care and thanks for watching.